Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LanceScurvX. This is LanceScurvX, your host, and I'm in a dilemma right now because I had a topic that I wanted to speak about, but I wanted to use another topic to segue into this topic. And in my research, I found out more and more about this particular story, which it went left. It just took off. So I couldn't use that particular story as a base to segue off into what I wanted to talk about, but I'm still going to talk about it to let you know my thought process. Okay. Now we know we have a young lady named Ashley Robinson, aka Ashley Janae, who was supposed to be an influencer on social media. Now, a lot has come out since she was found unalived with her Caucasian fiance, so they say, and so much dirty laundry that hasn't been proven and looks to be authentic. That's none of my business. I'm not going to get too caught up into this, where the things I found out across the board that seemed to be legit with her lifestyle, and even him with his lifestyle, and why they had this really big argument several times. And this is supposedly the second time that they were supposedly engaged, and they've been fighting before, and they've been dating and fighting, and had to be separated in the hotel in separate rooms. And the second hospital she was taken to after she was unalive, they say it was strangulation, but she was found hung by the boyfriend, fiance, in the hotel room, and they say she was a stripper and a sugar baby. I mean, it's like all this stuff. I'm thinking I'm focusing on one thing because I'm not really into the gossip. I wanted to talk about something in a constructive manner, but I wanted to deal with it with facts. And so in my mind, the story was here, and I felt that I had a base to stand on, but it moved. Okay, so now it's like I can't even touch that with any similarity from what I wanted to speak about, thinking that there were some similarities, but no. It may end up with the pairing of interracial relationships, but it's not the same. And I wanted to speak about our young ladies here in the motherland who allow themselves to be experienced, I'll say it that way, by white men who come to Africa pretty much in a predatory manner. Okay, now this is still a touchy subject, so I have to go in with surgical precision. And that's like one of my favorite terms to use, surgical precision, because we can speak about the topic, and this topic is hot because, or the whole story or the topic and category of interracial relationships is hot now because of what happened to Ashley Janae, aka Ashley Robinson. But there's so many subcategories that we can speak on that many people become unhinged and emotional when it's time to speak on these things, but they don't go in with the specific slice of what they want to talk about without getting emotional, right? They get emotional, and then we end up rolling around in the dirt, verbally fighting about something and never coming to a conclusion. And I don't want to do that. I'm not going to get caught up in that. There's a lot of things that have been thrown my way because I've talked about this before, and I'm not afraid to talk about any topic. I will never back up from talking about any particular topic, because if I see what I see, I'm going to talk about it. You don't have to agree. I'm not trying to shove it down your throat. But with my years of experience in this life and in this world, I do have a right to express my side of things. And if you don't like it, I have no problem with that, right? I'm not going to come after anybody for them feeling the way that they do. I've talked to many Black women who, with the Western mindset, felt that that was the best way to go, is to find a white man where It doesn't guarantee anything, but many of us have been brainwashed to think that life on the other side is greener. Like they say, the grass is greener. You can get beat, get a wife beater. You can get hooked up with a drunk or a drug addict or somebody who doesn't want to work or whatever. The brainwashing runs deep. But over here in the motherland, I can't tell you the percentage, because there are many who favor, as far as the women are concerned, a lot of them favor that as the epitome of a union, because they feel automatically they're going to have a better life because of the brainwashing that they've gone through here, which is a little different than what many of our sisters who want to go that way go through in the West. Okay? Poverty is all over the world. And I believe that that is one of the driving forces to cause many young ladies here in the motherland to want to go that way, because they believe that this so strong that there's a white man out there that will swoop down from the heavens and come and save them and take them to this charmed life. And they preach about this in many of the churches down here. I've spoken to many people. And again, I want to say that when I extend myself to a person and say, hey, would you like to talk about it? Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. I say, okay, I'm not going to show your face, but just talk about it, I'll just use audio. Oh, no. So it's like, listen, I'm forced to repeat what it is that I have in these conversations. And I'm going to still try to get at least some audio, because it's a different culture out here and people don't want their faces out there when it comes to controversial topics. In America, it's a little easier to get somebody to speak about these things. But it's ingrained in many people here from young that there is a destiny helper that will come to you in your life like an angel, and they will swoop down and help you and take you to a better life. I know several teachers out here, and I've spoken with them on many deep levels, even levels that they weren't aware of as far as the brainwashing that affected them. And I've come to the conclusion, and some have agreed with me, that it's taught in school from very young that all things abroad, outside of Africa, is better. So they don't tell you you have to go for a better life outside of Africa or whatever country you're in Africa, which I happen to be in Ghana, but they infer it. And when you infer it enough from young, they put two and two together. If you say, what's 2 + 2, then after a while, you know it's 4. If you're thirsty and you see a glass that's empty and a big pitcher of iced tea or lemonade, and somebody tells you go in there and get something to drink, you're not going to sit there and look at the glass and look at the jar of liquid that you want to drink. 2 + 2 is 4. You have to hold that pitcher and turn the contents into the glass so you can drink it. So many grow up already pre-programmed to think that life abroad is better. I'm just breaking it down. I can go and make a 10-minute or 5-minute video and boom. I was going to keep this short and I want to keep it condensed, but I may go on a little longer for those who don't have a clue, who don't understand how it is over here. And again, people are not going to tell you this and say, well, this is how I think. You can tell by the way they talk, their reactions to certain things and the things you hear them say. So that being said, the colonized mind, where everything that they see through religion, the white Jesus is going to come down and save you. So if the Son of God or God is white, then white people are closer to God. And you're not going to disrespect God in the form of white people. You see what I mean? And they know this. The men who come to the motherland know this. I'm not going to say all men or all white men who come here know this, but many know this because a lot of them are predatory when they see the absolute beauty of the black women that are here. Even the ones who are not coming here to actually do anything with the black women, from what I see, and I have to be fair, they still know the privilege that they have when they're down here. This is not a complaint. This is an assessment, because only in assessing a situation, just like when you go to the doctor and you assess the pains and aches, and he will ask you the symptoms so he can, with his expertise, say, okay, I know the treatment and I know what to prescribe to you, but we're still going to run a few tests. And mentally, my filters have caught so much that in the almost 6 years that I've lived here, I pretty much can say what it is. You have a gauge. So from young, they feel that everything abroad is better. Many see the white Jesus, and that sinks into their mind subconsciously. And all things white are godly. All things white are holy, pristine, right? So therefore, if you lay up with one of them, if they approach you, you're closer to God. You will be helped. And this is the funny thing, because it happens really bad in the Gambia, Ghana, everywhere, even Jamaica, right? But these men well know this, and I've seen many interracial couples who I know are not together. The body language tells me, especially if the man looks to be 80 and the young lady looks to be 22. This is not something wholesome at all. Probably his wife is back in the hotel room and doesn't know exactly what he's doing, and this happens a lot. I've gone down to Labadi Beach, a beach here in Ghana, in Accra, and it's kind of a hot spot. You know, it's always something going on. There are restaurants down there, music playing, people come there and hang out. If I go there now, right, and what is this now, Wednesday night? No, this is Tuesday night. You would think, oh, Friday, Saturday, whatever. No, every night is hot, more so on the weekend. But when you really look around and you look at what you're seeing, it's not just this type of pairing, but you'll see a lot of it, and the body language that goes along with it, where when they're walking outside, they're not lovey-dovey. They're kind of walking like, okay, we're together around each other. We're going to do what we do in the hotel room, but we're still kind of standoffish. And I've seen some other situations that I really don't like. I'm not complaining, but when you see a Caucasian man or a man of another race who you know he's here visiting, and you see a 12 or 13-year-old boy walking 6 feet ahead of him, and the boy turns around, are we going this way or are we going that way? And they keep their distance. And you look at that man, he turns his head, you know what that is, right? There's a lot of things that go on, not just here, but all over the world. And we need to assess these things and correct them. Look at the symptoms and correct them, because I'm speaking out of love for my people. I can point fingers all day like so many people do, but this is not something to make you feel bad. We're just assessing the problem, or we're looking just for the solution. I hate to say problems. It's a challenge. So I've seen and heard women that I know personally tell me about their connections with certain white men that have come to the country and they want to take them back and marry them. They talk that talk. Most of the time, it's not happening that way. They'll gas our beautiful sister up, and what happens? Those legs, heaven's gates opens for them. These guys get what they want, and things peter out. That's usually what happens, but it doesn't take away what has been embedded in our sisters to always look over the horizon to see if there's this next white man that's going to save them, which you don't see as many as you do in the West, right? But if you go around the tourist areas, you will see them, and everything is in the eyes. I've seen white men in the mall sit down and just stare and look up and look at our sisters in a way to let them know I'm interested in you. And automatically, a lot of our sisters here assume that when a person is white, Caucasian, they have money. Just because they come from Europe or America or somewhere else or wherever they came from, they assume, oh, you're here, you're visiting here, you have money. Well, you had to get money to get the plane ticket and for your hotel and everything. But what if you're a regular working Joe who's coming here to have your fun and portray yourself as this well-to-do white man, because you don't have to convince the sisters here. Your skin is enough, right? But the thing is, most of the time it's out of need. In the West, it could be out of need, but oftentimes it's status. Oftentimes, a lot of our sisters in the West have been hurt by brothers. So in a reactionary way, I don't want to mess with any black men. I'm going white. I've heard women from the West say the same thing too, but that's not the topic tonight. We're talking about the sisters who are here. Now, this is my well-researched, I can't say opinion, but I think most even who live here, who understand the levels in society on a financial level, like in America, we have the upper class, the middle class, and I don't want to say lower class because it doesn't mean you're less than anybody because you don't make as much money, but that class below the middle class that doesn't make as much money, right? To me, and if you're here in Ghana or have been in Ghana, maybe I'm wrong, but this is my assessment. You have those people, you have millionaires here, you got a few billionaires here, right? You have that upper class. You also have the class at the bottom that doesn't make much money at all because the economy here is not as robust as other places, okay? The opportunities are not here as much for those who are born and raised here. Even people getting out of college are like, I need to go somewhere else because the money they're paying for what I've studied is not paying me for this type of lifestyle. So the middle class pretty much is non-existent. You have what I would say is the lower upper class, which kind of overlaps into the upper middle class a little bit. And then you have the folks on the bottom that they're trying to scratch at being the middle class, but they're not over that wall yet. This is my assessment. But the middle class, ain't no middle class here. To me, comparing it to the standards in America, which I'm not into the comparison game, but for those who are from America who have never been here before, that's my best way of explaining it. A robust middle class where they have these amenities, they can live comfortable, but they're working now. They're not rich, but they have things. You don't have as much of that. So when you have the people who don't make much money, who come from the outer villages, and even to come into Accra or Kumasi, but mainly Accra, that's the big city to them. That's relatively, that's New York to them. That's Chicago to them. You see, that's the bigger city to them. And so coming here from a place where you have some mega cities, I'm not saying it's better because I love it here. I have citizenship here. I'm happy here. I'm good. But I'm just telling you because I have a broader view than people who may have just lived here or people who may have just lived in the West. That being said, when you have a young lady who comes from way out in the country, a village, and she may not have education as far as the higher education. Even if she does, jobs here are tight. It's hard to find work here, right? Look, I'm retired, so I receive what I worked hard for according to American standards. So that keeps me at a certain level that I will not fall below. But I ain't rich either, but I'm good. But you have a young lady who comes into Accra. She doesn't have skills. She knows how to clean. She knows how to cook. And lots of times you'll see some young ladies selling stuff at the intersection because there's no jobs. They'll have it on their head and have all different products. And you see fellas out there too. Now, you're out in the hot sun. You don't have the skills. There's no jobs really for those skills that you may have. So you've been brainwashed, and I'm explaining this. You've been brainwashed that a destiny helper is going to help you. And remember, this is a highly religious country. Even when some of the people may not be living according to the standard of that religion, they're going to make sure to go to church. They can do, I'm not saying everybody, but many can do different things behind closed doors when you're not seeing it. But they're going to come out and go to church. But then again, it's like that in America too. But its image is very important here. Take, for example, You have the kata girls, and I studied up on this. And kata is the cloth that you put over your head to kind of flatten your head. So when you put the, I'll call it a bowl. It's not a bowl like you eat out of. When you put that big, whatchamacallit on your head, and you put the stuff in, it doesn't roll off. You see how round my head is, and everybody's head is usually round? It would fall off. So people say, how do they have such balance? It's because of that kata. So I read an article that piqued my interest about the kata girls. And again, I'm not saying this is all of them, but many of them come from the outer villages outside in the country, way out. Not all, but some, many of them. So they're kind of, I'm not going to say outcast, but they're so far removed from the culture of the city that they're separated this way. So they go down amongst the markets and they look for you if you're carrying bags or you're buying fruit and buying things, you have packages. You pay them and they will walk with you. And as you accrue your goods, and this is on topic, I'm leading up to something now. As you accrue what it is that you want to buy and take with you, they keep piling it up on top. And I'm saying some of these young girls that are so strong, they're petite, some of them. Some of them are not petite, but they're young, they're strong, and they can hold a lot of stuff. And you give them what they ask for. It's usually pretty much next to nothing. Where do they live? Are they paying rent? Do they have a car? No. Are they getting their hair done? They have jewelry? No. Lots of times they don't have a man, but sometimes you'll see them with a child. We're all human, okay? But I found out that many of them who come down to Accra, and this is specific to this place, that you have homes, houses, not big mansions or anything, but local homes, right? That the owner will rent out. And to sleep there is dirt cheap. You don't own a room there. You don't have an apartment there as a kata girl, but you'll pay next to nothing to be able to get a spot on the floor. But guess what? In a room, there might be 30, 40, 50, depending on the size of the room, kata girls there. Your spot is not reserved. You can't leave stuff there, but many of them live this way. I'm quite sure not all of them live this way, right? So when they see a white man or see a black man who obviously is from somewhere else, which I'm from somewhere else, although this is my home now, you get the eye contact, not any flirtatious eye contact, but they're looking to see if you want to hire them for carrying your groceries. But lots of times I've seen something a little deeper in their eye contact to let you know it's your call. Suggest something to me. Call me in the name of business, but let me know if there's anything else I can do. Quick eye contact. I'm sharp like that, I already know. And I found out through reading that article and other articles that many kata girls may have STDs. I'm not demonizing. Why? Because if some man comes up to them, not anybody, and wants to take them out of going to lay down in that crowded room in that house, then they're going to do it 9 times out of 10, because what little you give them is way more than them walking around out in the hot sun. And again, I'm not demonizing them at all. I'm not saying it's all of them. And on different levels, it's different types of women that do have jobs that on a different level, they're looking for somebody to basically be their sugar daddy or somebody that they can regularly be supplemented with finances with. But usually, the one who knocks the ball out of the park is the foreign white man that comes around. And how do many people, and we're going to go, oh, there's the other point about the kata girls, just to give you an explanation on how poverty and desperation that way can influence you to bend your morals because you're hungry, because things are looking bleak. Imagine there's no welfare here. There's no EBT card here. There's no WIC here. So when you have a child and you're doing that kind of work, you have to put your child on your back and they wrap the sheet around. I'm quite sure you've seen it in videos, in some of my videos. And all day, that child is with that mother while she's hauling the goods to make the little money that she can make. Here's another point that I was made hip to through my research, that many of them who are sexually active, they know where to go to get the medicine for various STDs that they may catch. Again, this is not everybody. So on a bootleg level, on the street, you have people who will sell the medicine to you dirt cheap. Well, who evaluates you when you have these STDs? Well, you have another kata girl who they can go to, and they will show them, listen, I have this type of series of bumps here, a cluster of bumps, and there's this purple ooze coming out of it, or this orange, I'm being funny now, whatever. They'll specifically show it, and that one who's experienced, who had it before, they may have to go to 2 or 3 other girls who may know what it is, and they'll say, listen, go to so-and-so and ask for this type of medication. You have to take this for 2 weeks, whatever. They don't have health coverage, although going to the hospital is cheaper than America, much cheaper. Oh, medication, but it still may be high for them. So this is how they survive. I'm not saying they're prostitutes, but things get tight. You have a baby. There's some man offering you money. He's in a nice hotel. He's going to be there for 2 weeks. He may want you there for 2 or 3 days. He's going to hand you enough money, more so than what you could make in 2 months, which still may not be much. Are you going to refuse that? I'm not saying you personally, because I'm talking into the camera, so you can't take that personal. Maybe you won't, but there are a lot of people who will. Can you judge them for that? Can you judge them for that? See, we can sit here high and mighty and say what we won't do. But when you live in a place that there are not many resources to help you out unless you have family. So what happens when you leave your family in the village where you came from, far away, and you got to make it? It's not like it may be close. Hopefully it is. There are people who are in that situation who have family here and close by, but they're sick and damn tired of just living on a certain level because the jobs that and that's something I'm going to try within the next 2 weeks to speak about and have others speak about, even if they don't show their face. How the jobs pay here, you would not believe it. You would not believe it. Compared to the West, it is what it is. I'm not looking down and trying to be condescending, but you have to know reality. Like I said, we go in with surgical precision. But this is what I want to say, because there are different types who may succumb to the colonized mind, the white Jesus, the way that it seems as though everything else is better in America and the UK and other places where people with lighter skin who are not black come from. Can we really point our fingers at these sisters? Can we? I say, instead of putting our sisters down because of what we see on the surface and what has been embedded into them, damn near from birth. I'm talking about here now, in the motherland. I know a lot of our brothers may not have lots of money, but many of the brothers here will favor the white woman, whether they have the opportunity to deal with one or not. It's the same thing from the man's side. Why can't we turn our love in on each other? We have to understand cause and effect, why things happen. And maybe many who have been brought up in this system and colonized in their mind will take a long time to understand. But for many of us who come from a different country, where we do understand how the mental slavery and the self-hate has come to be, let's not look down on people who don't know why they are the way they are and why they do the things that they do. I'll say to the brothers, if you don't have money, be that heaven for your sister, for our queens. Treat them nice. Treat them like the gold that they are. I'm not saying they're just gold. You know what I mean? Well, Lance, why didn't you say they were platinum? I'm just a figure of speech. Treat them. Carry their bags for them. If you have a little money in your pocket and she's short at the register, give her. You don't even have to know her. If you can, give. Treat them like the mothers and the sisters and the daughters and the grandmothers and the aunts. Let's reinforce the love and support from within so they don't feel as though they're lacking. So that when a predatory white man comes around, flossing with his wealth or his little bit of money, that our sister thinks, oh, there's a whole lot of that, and I'm going to live this wonderful life. He could be a dude working somewhere, dirt poor, but for the 2 weeks that he's out here, he's looking like a millionaire. And that's what you got to understand too. Right? We got to break things down over time. Things are very complex why we are the way we are. But I was in a discussion with my dear sister who I call Customado. You know who you are. And I will use the analogies that she shared with me in this discussion. Insects. If insects are in your home and won't leave, that means there's a place for them to nest and a place for them to eat. What if there were no crumbs? I'm not saying your house is dirty, but a little tiny crumb that drops to the floor by the table that you forgot to sweep, or you swept and one of those crumbs went under the table somewhere, under the couch. You can't see it, but that can feed insects. If we cleanse our home so well and insects didn't have anything to eat, do you think they're going to stay around too long? If we have lots of food that we throw around outside and there's stray animals that we really don't want coming around, get rid of the food. Clean it up and get rid of it if you don't want to eat it. Don't toss it out in the yard. You're going to bring and invite so many things. So if we as the kings, if we as the men who should move in an empowered way, even when you don't feel empowered by those so-called worldly standards, you must carry yourself with integrity. You must understand that you have value and worth. And when you carry yourself in a way where you have value and worth, that energy is evident to our sisters. And when you carry yourself this way and you treat them like the queens that they are, and I know a lot of people don't like black men to call their sisters queens. They are. They are. Who else is more of a queen than our sisters? Even those who may not know their position, even though there are those that don't know their value and worth, that's what they are. And if we treat them that way, and they begin to see themselves that way, what a wonderful community, country, and world and life we'll have. But it won't happen overnight. There's so many of our sisters who want attention and love. And I'm saying that because some men will say, well, what about us? Yes, I will address that. Not in this video, but I will address that. But we're not going to argue what came first, the chicken or the egg. We're not going to do that. Because when you take care of one aspect of it, the other aspect falls into place. And as men, we are leaders. Whether we know it or not, whether we want to accept it or not, we are leaders. And we've got to accept that role. We can't sit back in a feminine way and expect things to fall right in our world, in our communities, and in our lives with our women. You understand? And we have failed miserably as being the sentinels of righteousness in our communities, where our women can look up, whether we have a bit of money or not in our pockets. They'll say, oh, okay. And when these predators come around, if we look out for our sisters and look out for our families and our children, and if a child is hungry, you do what you can. It's your responsibility. Every child is our child. Every woman is our woman. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. It's our responsibility to make sure she's all right. What happened to that? And if we did that, things would change overnight. And I know many people would be reluctant to that. But really and truly, like the song from back in, 1982? What a beautiful world it would be. What a glorious time to be free. I couldn't tell you who made it. I couldn't tell you the actual name of the song, but that's a song that I used to love. And it's true, we create. The world is our canvas, and we create by what we paint and what we put out there. The imagery, the words, the sounds, the vibrations, those are all part of the brushstroke to make our world a beautiful world, where we wake up and we feel joy to live where we are. But it starts with us as the men. We are the leaders. And I don't mean this in a way, or it will be taken in a way from many in the Western mindset who are feminists. What do you mean you're the leaders? I can do without all of that poison. We'll deal with. But we're dealing with our sisters who feel they don't have a way out. They may be hungry. They may have financial issues. Probably it is. That's what it is. And they're looking for a way out. And they've been taught that somebody else is their savior. And we have to step in and show them that somebody else is not their savior. Their savior comes through us. We are their saviors. We are their knight in shining armors. We should feel ashamed. Why are we letting other people fool our sisters coming in, even though many of our sisters are already brainwashed, and using them in the most intimate way? And they're gone, thrown down like used tissue. And the cycle repeats itself. And it's so embedded. I've talked about different aspects of it. The bleaching of your beautiful skin to get lighter because you feel as though you'll be more attractive and more beautiful. Brothers, you have to let the sisters know, no matter what their shade, from the lightest to the darkest, that they're beautiful. I see every single day beautiful Black African sisters out here. We're not talking lust. I'm talking about the vibration, the innocence, the love that they have in their heart, the caring that they have in their heart, which oftentimes in this world gets smashed down or discouraged, like something left on the shelf and unappreciated. After a while, you may begin to feel as though you're not desirable, and I understand that. So we have so many beautiful sisters here to choose from, to dedicate, but we must treat them all good, because we have a lot of predators that come into the community and come into the country looking for a quick thrill, as they've fetishized our sisters. And we have these apps now that make it easier. And basically these dating apps are white men looking for African women. And I'll tell you, and again, I'm not complaining, this is an assessment. I've seen many of these unions. I've gone to the Accra Mall and other busy places where you see these old white men with these African sisters who are dressed up in a very revealing way, not discreet, because they know that this predator likes to see that as he struts down the street with the person that he conquered. Almost animalistic, like you're an animal for me, you're my sex slave for me, and we're gonna let the world know so I get an ego boost. I've seen this. And lots of times I'll give a glance their way when they walk toward me. I did a video on that and actually captured the image of a couple of that persuasion. And many times the sisters will see me and blink their eyes and look down. I'm not looking at them hard or looking at them mean, but I'm just looking at them like, sister, what you doing? I don't say that. I just look at them in a loving way and they turn away. And of course, the man doesn't want me to look at them because he knows that I know what's up. You understand? But why? Let's correct ourselves. Let's go higher. Sisters, you're beautiful. You need to know that it's in your nature to be secured, and I understand that. I do understand that. And if it doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere, I understand some of you will make up your mind to do what it is that you feel that you have to do. I understand that. I do. I'm not mad at you. But I want our brothers to step up. And let's always boost each other up. Because although I'm a heterosexual male, I will say we have lots of beautiful brothers out here in the spirit, mentally and physically, who are not brainwashed, and some who are. But even if you are, try to study and look within yourself. Even if you don't pick up a book, look within yourself and ask yourself, why am I the way I am? Whichever way that may be, but we're speaking about looking toward another race as being your destiny helper and being your God and being the one who is better than you, who's going to save you while we sit down on all of these resources here that others come to exploit. Makes you think. You do have the power, but the power comes with our unity. Many of us, as men, we want to make it and get the riches, get the car and the home and the cash and the jewelry, and to hell with the brother who's in the gutter. Why can't we all unify together and pool our resources to make a plan to garner the finances that we can build ourselves up? Yes, money's not everything, but it's very important. Unity will put us in a better place as we work with each other and see ourselves as a part of a mighty whole. W-H-O-L-E, not whole like a hole like this. We're talking a mighty whole. The whole of us together, working in unison on the same soil that others come to exploit to get the riches and extract it to bring it back to their country. This is our country. I have citizenship, and I can say that. And although I may be looked at as a foreigner, sometimes I'll say it in a different way. This is your country. Thank you for allowing me in to be a part of this mighty, wonderful culture, even though there are flaws. I have a role here. When I speak to my brothers every day, I walk amongst the people. I'm not behind in a vehicle behind tinted windows looking down and turning my nose up. I'm on the chochos with the people. I walk in the common areas. I stop and I have many acquaintances and friends who I have to speak to when I see them. Some of them I will put on camera if they allow me. So I'm well rooted here, faster than most who come here and isolate themselves. The last few days I was down in the city, and tomorrow I'll be back down in the city to conduct some business. So I'm here at ground zero, right? Right here amongst the people that many people turn their nose up to. And wherever I go on my path, I speak with them. They have questions, I give them answers. And I tease them with a little bit of something they wouldn't get from somewhere else, because you can't give them everything at one time because they're rejected. But when you let them know how the system works and let them know there's no camera running when I do that every single day. I don't walk up to people and preach to them, but conversations happen and questions are asked of me, and I'm going to give them the answer in a way that they can absorb it and not go and overload, and they will be curious the next time to ask for more. That's my role. If I don't have 1 million or 2 million YouTube followers, it's okay. YouTube can't stop me from doing my work here with my people. You see what I mean? This may draw it in, and I can speak with you and report to you on what's happening on the ground here, because I damn sure know what's happening in America. And that's what makes me unique, and this is the power from which I speak from. And I want you all to know that I love you all, and I support you all, and I understand you all when you may find yourself in a position that other people point fingers and want to argue. No, let's break this thing down with surgical precision. Let's heal ourselves up. Let's come together as a people, because when you're knocked down so low, you can only go up. And there are people who don't want you to know that, so they can exploit you for their pleasure. Anyway, much love to you all. Go to LanceScurvX.com, sign up with your email so you get all the content and the discussions that we have. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on that particular site, and I want you all to partake in it and comment, and let's have discussions, and let me know what you'd like for me to cover and talk about. I'll be glad to do so, because that's what I'm supposed to do for the remainder of my years on this earth. And I'm so appreciative for life and to be here. I love it, but we have work to do. Much love to you all. LanceScurv out. Peace.
Yeah.